So I put that book up there, Lead Like a Boss. I was part of a group back in 2011, and I wrote a chapter in it about leadership. And the first section is all about your company, the Human Potential Project, the power to transform. And I remember your book, and you had all these great stories. It kind of made me wander, man. It was unbelievable. But I remember one. I don't remember all the details, but I think you took your team to Africa and did a safari. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Oh, well, Lord, that's a whole series of stories. But the background is, when was this? Back in the late '90s. Okay, we've been cooking and doing really intense work for a decade, right? And one of our fundamental premises is, for us as human beings, is you don't learn anything unless you go to your edge, right? Nothing gets learned in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And part of going to the edge with the work that we do is we take people and do ropes courses, right? So it's one thing to sit and talk about being brave and courage, but then it's another thing when you're standing 40 feet up in the air on the top of a pole.
Well, tell me more
and
about
shaking.
I think I might have did that one. What is a ropes course?
Well, it's back at the end of World War II, a bunch of the Ranger units came back and they'd learned all these mountaineering skills and climbing skills and rappelling skills and so forth. And some of them started things like Outward Bound and Knowles and so forth. Yeah. And then it was a way to kind of democratize that kind of semi-extreme adventure work, right? The key to it is, as we explain to our clients, we don't traffic in real danger, just perceived danger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I might put you climb up, for example. There are two types of events: low and high. All right. Low events are no more than 3-4 feet off the ground. The high events can be anywhere from 30 to, depending on what we're doing, 180, 200 feet.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. We've got usually at least 3 belay lines on you. So as we tell people, you're wearing a parachute harness, right? It's got a backup strap. You got 3 safety lines, each of which has 1,500-pound test. You can't hurt yourself. I don't care if you're suicidal, right?
I'll be honest with you.
You're not going to get hurt.
I still was nervous.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's called perceived danger. I want your body to have the experience of being afraid, but I don't want you to actually run any physical risk. That's why, so for example, people come to us and say, oh, we want to do river trips. Yeah, fine, have a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, we want to do firewalking. Yeah, knock yourself out. Okay, we only deal with perceived danger, right? People drown every year doing river trips. We don't even need to talk about the potential for firewalking. And I say that because I've done all these things.
Well, I wanted to interject there because this is funny. This is just a few years back. I remember listening to the radio. They were talking about Tony Robbins was at a hotel and they had the people, and he'd been successful a number of times walking through the pools, and it was like 5 or 6 people. They had to take him to the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
On their feet.
Yeah, that's my point. Exactly.
That's not perceived danger.
No, that's the real thing. There you go, bingo.
You'll probably lose some clients that way.
Well, as I explained to them, I said, look, people don't come to work expecting to risk their lives or bodies. That's not part of the job description, right?
Yeah.
So we deal with perceived danger, and you get up in these events, and all the safety lines are back here behind you, so you can't see them.
Yeah.
Right. So once again, you're kind of having that experience of, oh Lord, I'm up here all by myself and all alone, and that's the whole point. Is okay. Now the challenge, as we tell people, is I don't actually care if you climb all the way up there and jump off and catch trapezes and do all that stuff. That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is to get to where your body, or your mind at least, is screaming at you, say, no, I can't do anymore, no. And be willing to take one more step. That's where you go to and through the edge.
Yeah.
And there is, it's gonna sound strange, but when you do it, when you actually literally do it, you get to that moment and you feel that edge and that intensity, you can literally have a physical experience of transcending this barrier. It's like you move through some little energetic barrier, and you move from, what's the best way to explain this? Terror, right, into exhilaration.
Yeah.
Right? If you look at the brainwave patterns for both those emotional states, they're identical. Just a matter of interpretation.
I know that feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can literally feel, it's like you burst through some membrane and all of a sudden it's like, all right? And in that moment, your life changes.
Yeah.
Okay? So we do that kind of stuff as part of, but as I tell people, if you just do that, then all you're doing is creating adrenaline junkies.
So you're kind of facing your fear, basically.
Not kind of.
I mean, you are.
Right.
Yeah.
The vast majority of human beings are afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Okay. We're also afraid of fire and spiders. Okay. So no, we're not going to have a tarantula event, and we already talked about firewalking. Okay.
Yeah.
Right up there also is public speaking. So we take that one on.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you just leave people in that exhilarated state, it wears off. Of course, it's natural,
Yeah.
but you've got to follow it up with a whole bunch of work, because it literally creates an opening through which they can step and create a new future for themselves. Right now, the point to all this was we've been doing that for years, and one of the things we believe is you can't teach something you don't do. So the challenge was, well, how do we go to our edge? Doing ropes courses, isn't it? We do those all the time. We build the silly things. So okay, one of the guys had a friend who had been to Africa, met these guys, people who might remember the old TV show Bonanza, like the Cartwrights.
Now you're dating yourself.
Exactly. Well, there's this family of 3 brothers who lived in Tanzania, and they were safari guides, and they lived in this big family compound, and he connected with them. And anyway, long story, we made an arrangement. We said to one of the brothers, we want to go someplace in the wild that's still wild. We want to see someplace on the planet that's still completely wild, where human beings haven't been before, at least not in any recent time, while there's still someplace like that left.
Yeah.
Right? So that was the mission. So there's 10, 11 of us.
Is this your internal team?
It was some of our team, and then just some of our kind of network.
Okay.
Okay. So we get there, it's a whole different world, right? Hello, baby. And first thing we did was just get used to being in Africa, just because the rhythm's different. I don't just mean the time zone, but just everything. The energy's different, the rhythm of the land, the people. So we went around to game parks for, better part of a week.
Yeah.
All right, now we're acclimated. Then the next phase was we spent 10 days, 2 weeks hiking in the Maasai land, right? So we were way out in the middle of nowhere, and we had a Maasai chief who was our guide.
Maasai, is that a tribe?
That's a tribe.
Okay.
Okay, and it was enriching and also humbling experience. So here we are, these guys, we look like the poster boys from REI, all this crap, and Nike sent us a bunch of stuff. Thank you, Nelson Ferris. And we had a whole gaggle of all this gear.
You look like a real hiker.
Oh, I swear to God,
real safari guy.
and we're up and down these hills, and after about 4 or 5 days, we looked like the REI delivery truck the back door had swung open at some point. Because crap, we're just leaving it out. I don't need this. I don't want that. This is too heavy.
Yeah, I bet you the locals may have took that
Oh,
back. And
trust
took the
me,
Nike gear.
we had some great moments. So this is how long ago this was. So I had a Sony Walkman with me, right? And I had a tape of Paula Abdul. There's a name you haven't heard for a while.
I love Paula. Forever your girl.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And so we're into these. We were way so far out that a lot of the people in these little bomas, these little tiny, that we can't even call them a village. These were like 3 or 4 family compounds, hadn't seen white people before. So they're like, mystified by us, and they were convinced that we were all rich, and we're trying to understand why they thought that. Because you're fat.
Oh yeah,
Because
you've been eating well.
that's the standard for rich, way out there. And I'm like, hey, excuse me, but anyway, so we got out there. This is Paula Abdul now. Let me stay on track here. And I took my headphones and put them on this little Maasai kid's ears and played Paula Abdul, and his face just went. And he took off. He took off with my walk. No, he took off with my Walkman.
He's in love.
He's in love. He took off, and he's playing it for everybody. And I'm thinking, well, there goes my Walkman, right? No, next day, we'd even moved on. He tracked us down, brought it back. The batteries were dead, but
he listened to every song.
He listened to every song repeatedly.
I hope there wasn't any pictures on that. Your Walkman with Paul Abdul.
Well, probably not, since Walkman didn't have pictures.
No. That must have been the 80s, because I remember
that's what I said, the 80s. You got to pay attention.
I know.
All right, so here we go. So we did the trek with the Messiah, and what I was pointing to here was conversations with this guy. So here we are, all these big fancy guys, la 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 la. This guy is dressed in a tunic. He's 35 years old and a chief, which you think of some big physical compound, which it wasn't. The land doesn't sustain that concentration of population. He was more like a chief of a county, right? So there's all these little villages, but he was the guy.
I see.
Right? And he spoke 3 languages.
None of yours.
You know English,
Oh.
Swahili, and then the native Maasai tongue. Okay? So, and here we are, we're all kind of struggling just with English.
Yeah.
Right? So we got this guy's three, and just talking to him was absolutely fascinating. So we were talking about, in the Maasai culture, wealth is measured by the number of cows that you have. And they have these little, like mini Brahma cows. They're very small because, again, the land is rough. There's not a lot of forage, not a lot of water. And so we were talking to him, and I asked him, because my uncle was a cattle rancher, how many cows do you have? And he looks at me and he says, oh, I don't know. And I'm thinking, well, how can you be a cattle rancher? I don't even know how many cows you have. So, I kind of go back and forth, and he says, well, for us, it's like this. When you go for a holiday and you're having a family reunion, he says, do you count all your relatives? No. She says, but if someone's missing, right?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bingo.
Yeah.
Right? And, we had all these absolutely fascinating conversations. So, great, we did that. And then the final part of the trip, kind of the hallmark or the whole point, was these guys had scouted this place inside a game preserve, a national park, actually, inside a national park, where allegedly there was no human habitation, etc. And we were going to drive for 3 days in these Land Rovers to get there. And we're driving over the Serengeti, and we're having flashbacks or fantasies of Erwin Rommel Desert Fox, because it's just dust clouds everywhere. You had to wear goggles and bandanas over your face, and you just filthy, right?
Yeah.
And hours on hours, and there's this constant wrestling match to see who had to sit in the middle seat, because that sucked. And
sounds like the perfect vacation.
oh yeah, it gets better. So we drive for 3 days. We get to where we're going to jump off, right? And we pull into this little community, and there's a guy there, and he meets us, and it is explained to us that this is a game warden, and he's going to go with us. And we're kind of thinking, well, why? We're not hunting or anything. And then they explained to us, well, he's not actually going for your interest. You're going to protect him. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute, what? Says, well, this is the wonders of Africa. So this preserve was as big as the state of New Jersey. It had 2 game wardens, one on each end. That guy's Land Rover was broken. They didn't have a budget to fix it. And this guy was going with us. And we're stuck with, why? He says, well, we're having a big problem with poachers. Oh, okay. And so
What are they poaching?
Elephants.
Elephants, okay.
Ivory. So we had a very interesting conversation. You got to understand that a good quarter of the team were trainers. We had some old S trainers and my guys and everything. So they're like, well, what do we do if we come across poachers? Oh, we'll talk to them. We'll get their lives back. We'll transform them. And our guide's translating to the game warden, who's looking increasingly like, what?
Yeah.
I must not be understanding this. So he finally interrupts and says, let me explain this to you, boys. If we come across poachers, we'll kill them. Yeah, just like that. That was how the room went. Like, wait, what?
What did we get into here, boss?
Exactly. We're like, wait, what? And he says, well, what the hell do you think you're going to do? Capture them and then have them come on our trek for a couple weeks?
Man.
They will kill you the first chance they get. Oh.
So I just had a flashback of your ropes course about this crossing over into this other area.
Yeah.
I think you stepped
we
up
just
on that
we just
with this
transcended
story.
into a different world here. So we're like, oh, okay, well that's not quite what we signed up for. And out of curiosity, you've got a gun, the game warden. Our guide's got a gun. The rest of us are unarmed. You know, we got assorted knives and machetes and things, but you know, so okay, fine, whatever.
No.
So we get there, then we drive for another half a day to this jump off point. Okay, and as we get there, we come to realize one of the things that the poachers did was they would go into an area and set it all on fire and drive the animals somewhere. Well, when our guys flew over it in their plane to scout it, it looked great. But between the time they flew over it and we got there, the poachers had been there. So now this whole area is just burned. So we're like, oh man, it's 85, 90 degrees out. There's this layer of ash. The only thing that didn't burn was apparently anything with thorns on it.
Oh,
And we're ready to go. Oh, and did I mention there's lots of tsetse flies there?
what are tsetse flies?
Tsetse fly is, you know what
They
a
bite?
horse, you know what a horse fly is?
Yeah. They bite.
Yeah, it's like a small horse fly, but they bite, and some of them are infected with sleeping sickness.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So, and it turned out, you know, back to the REI poster boys were slathered with DEET, right?
Oh no.
Yeah.
You're attracting them.
It did. They loved it. It took us 2 days to figure out they're drawn to it. Like, okay, fine. Let's not do that anymore. So now we have the last conversation. Okay, look, here we go. There's these 3 Land Rovers here. In about 10 minutes, they're going to leave. Once they leave, there's no way for us to get out of here except to get to the other end where they're going to pick us up.
Jeez.
Right? So you need to be really clear. If you're not up for this, now's the time to back out. Well, you know, 13 macho guys. Nobody's going to go, oh, I want to go
Who's the
home.
first one to do it?
Exactly. No, I'm scared.
But I bet you wanted to.
No.
Someone would. Somebody had to.
Well, I don't think so. No.
Yeah,
So
you
the
agree, okay.
point was, okay, decision point. Let's go. And they said, you know, because be clear. If somebody gets seriously hurt, you're probably dead because, you know, we didn't have satellite phones or any of that kind of stuff. You know, it'll take days to get to the other end. They won't even be there for 10 days. So let's just be clear about what we're doing. Okay, great. Let's go. So off we go. For 2 days, we're trekking through this ash and stickers, and it's blazing freaking hot. And we had to take a siesta in the middle of the day because it was too hot to move, right? Then we get to some place and start a camp. And this is how your mind goes, right? Plus, our basic ground rules were we're going to walk in silence because we want to be able to experience the land, feel the animals.
It's kind of mindfulness nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. So after about the third quarter of day 2, my head's going, this is just freaking brilliant. Here's how smart you are. You've paid to go on the Bataan Death March.
You paid for this.
It's like, what an idiot. So we found this, we were hiking up this river, which is loosely used term in the dry season. It was kind of like this, you know, creek at some points, stream, what we think of as river, maybe in the wet season, but not now.
Yeah.
And there'd be these big pools in it, and the pools would be where hippos and crocodiles would congregate. And so we'd camp relatively close because you don't want too close because both of those things like to come out at night.
Yeah.
Right? So we got to this one pool, and the guy's like, all right, let's have a bet. I dare you to swim across there.
Oh, you're kidding.
You know, I'll pay you $1 million, $2 million. Like, yeah.
Come on, you can outswim.
Come on,
You can outswim
you
a
can
hippo.
outswim a crocodile. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Nobody.
While you're holding chicken in the background.
So, day 3, we finally get out of the burn. We're walking, and it's quiet. We're coming quiet, and we come around the bend, and we surprised the pride of lions who are drinking at the river.
So how many at a pride?
Well, there's not
there's
a
a lot of
fixed
them?
number. This is like, you know, more than a family. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's good 8 or 9 of them. I wasn't really counting them.
Well, I mean, I'm just
Wasn't
saying,
taking
is it one guy
inventory
or-
at that point. Oh no.
Yeah.
And then of all the potential outcomes from that first encounter, we of course somehow engendered the worst, which is the cubs went this way and the adults went that way, and we're in the middle. Not where you want to be.
No.
Now, I'm sure you've been to the circus or the zoo and you've heard a lion roar. It's a
yeah.
pretty impressive sound. When he's from here to your back wall feigning charges at you because she's concerned about their kids and it's personal,
So like 80 to 100 feet.
it vibrates your biology in a whole different way.
Oh man.
You know? And our guide, he's kind of looked like an NFL quarterback. He's quickly dropping back, lobbing a shell into the rifle, right? And we drilled on this kind of stuff. I said, okay, it's real simple. Any big cat that we encounter, whatever you do, don't run. Because it triggers their prey response.
But that's counterintuitive.
Well,
Chris.
yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. Yeah, don't run. Okay, good. Makes sense. You know, I got it. It's easy.
Sounds great.
Easy concept to understand. Don't run. Okay.
Until you got a lion coming.
Yeah, when you got a lion coming at you, it's like So it was for me. This was a breakthrough. I don't know. It was like some bizarre peak experience. We teach centering, right? The capacity to be present in the moment, and in that moment, people could have panicked. We didn't really have anybody do that. A couple kind of on the edge. For me, I found this bizarre, I don't even know how to explain it, phenomenon, which is all of a sudden, all my energy's down in my center, and I had this weird, I don't even know how to explain, genetic memory of, oh, I remember this.
No, you've had that feeling before.
Yeah, okay, I know this feeling.
Gut check.
And so I just found myself totally calm. Okay, what's going on? Time kind of distorted a little bit. And we're kind of like, okay, the lions are charging here. The cubs are squalling over there. Let's just move over towards the river and let them get back together. So we start sliding over to the river when all of a sudden the hippo, who was in the pool, sees us coming and comes charging out at us, bellowing. And I'm sitting there in my head going, what the,
Man.
a minute ago we were on a nice little hike. Now I'm in the middle of a goddamn Indiana Jones movie. So we got an angry hippo over here.
At this point in your career now, I want to go back and did you see the movie Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm having an image of that
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now.
So we got hippos, lions. So we let's figure out there's a little path that kind of went up, this little hill and got away up the bank. So one at a time with everybody kind of doing their John Belushi, we got up there, got ourselves out of it, and it was fascinating around the campfire that night where we debriefed the day. That was pretty extraordinary. That was pretty intense. And people ask, well, what was the scariest thing that happened there? Was the lions? And no. We go, what? No?
Yeah.
No. The scariest thing, so we're, I don't know, a couple days after that, one of the guys cut his finger doing something. No big deal, right? But it's bleeding a little. So one of the guys was a doctor, and he had it first. He says, "Oh, let me get a butterfly on it." And, no problem.
Yeah.
And our guy says, "No, let me show you how we do this out here in the bush." Oh, okay, cool. So he gets up, walks away. We're like, "That's how you do it. You ignore it." Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's not
that's
that big of a
it.
deal
Haven't seen
compared
that
to the rest.
technique before.
Yeah.
Pretend it didn't happen. So no, he goes tromping around. Comes back about 15, 20 minutes later, and we see him coming, and he's holding a stick. And we're thinking, has he got a magic wand or something? Anyway, so he comes back, and as he gets up close to us, really close, we see there's a couple of these ants on the stick. Like, what is going,
Yeah.
And you look close, you know what a carpenter ant, a big black ant.
Yeah, big
Well, imagine a big black ant only with great big mandibles. And he grabs one of these ants, holds its body, and its mandibles are going like that because it's pissed. And he takes it over to Richard's finger, and it goes grump, and bites it, and then he pinches the head off. So the jaws lock, and you've got, it's what he calls a bush suture.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so then he does that again, and we're all
So
like,
just it adheres to your finger and
well, he bites it. They're carnivorous, so they can smell the blood. So they're like, food.
oh, I see.
So yum, and then he pinches their head off, which locks the jaws. Does it twice, so he's got two ant heads attached to his finger. So we're all fascinated by this is, and the doctor is
We
like,
gotta take this
wow,
medical technology
exactly.
back to the States.
But Strozzi's looking at his finger, going, hey.
Yeah.
So we're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
So around the campfire that night, he's telling us about these ants. Now I'm trying to remember the the name for them.
Yeah.
But they're bizarre because they don't have a home. They migrate. They're nomadic.
Yeah.
So they move in these swarms of millions.
Yeah.
And they just move, and they eat pretty much anything they come across. So snakes, birds, any insects, small animals, right? And he said, we used to try and raise rabbits or chickens at our compound, but the ants would come through about twice a year, and you don't want to hear the sound of a rabbit getting eaten alive by these things. So we quit doing that. And he says, and in the old horror movies, where they'd stake somebody out and let the ants eat them, that actually happened, and these were the ones.
Oh, man.
And they're like, ew. So anyway, we're like a bunch of kids around the campfire, like, oh God, ew, gross.
Yeah,
That's disgusting. Blah, blah, blah. So fine. So, I don't know, must have been a day or two later, we shot a warthog because we needed something to eat.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. This whole time you're traveling, what are you eating?
Well, we kill birds, and this time we shot a warthog. So we're to some extent living off the land. We packed a lot of stuff with us, but we had all of us plus a train of 3 or 4 guys, and they were all from different tribes, and they have this classic kind of tribal rivalries. And this one big guy, Charlie, I forgot which tribe he was from, but they were notorious for only having recently let go of cannibalism. so we're
Don't get too weak.
Well, one day we had Charlie, what are we having for dinner tonight? And he looks at me and goes, whoever comes in last. That won't be me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're joking, but I'm not willing to take the risk. So I shot this warthog, dressed it out, and cross-cultural experience here. So in our society in those days, where everybody was adverse to anything that had fat in it, right? Because we lived in the story. In those days, fat makes you fat, so don't eat fat.
Yeah.
Well, these guys live in a world where there is no fat. They don't have avocados and olive oil and that kind of stuff. So fat is a rare commodity. So while we're dressing out this warthog, the crew has got their knives out trying to scrape what little fat they could find on this thing, and they're literally eating it raw.
Wow.
And we're just kind of like, okay, different orientation. So anyway, so we have dinner, blah, blah, blah. Then the way it worked is when it gets dark, you go to sleep because, you can sit around the fire. Yeah, what are you going to do? And you had to sleep in tents because you would get hyenas and stuff coming through. And we said, can't you sleep out? And I said, well, if you want to get your face eaten off by a hyena. And I think, yeah, not tonight. And the tents, we put them in a row, okay? And so Jim Channon and I were at the tent farthest down at the end of the row, right? So, so we got this warthog carcass kind of hanging from a tree, right? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I don't know what time it was. It's middle of freaking night, right? But, it gets dark at 7:30 or 8, so who knows? So anyway, we're asleep. And you've had this experience before. Suddenly, I wake up, and there's this little voice in my head going, hey, wake up, something's going on. I'm like, huh? What? So I got this 2-part conversation going.
Yeah.
Well, what are you talking about? What's going on? Listen. And I hear this kind of hissing sound on the tent. And part of me's going, oh, it's raining. No problem. What's the big deal? Go back to sleep. That's not rain, you idiot. No, I'm from Seattle. I know what rain sounds like on a tent. I'm trying to go back to sleep. And this other voice says, wake up. You're in the middle of freaking Africa. It's the dry season. It hasn't rained for 3 months, dipshit. It's not raining. Like, oh, okay, got it. What? And there's this little mesh behind me for the quote window. And I kind of noticed this kind of moving. I'm like, what the hell? And then I get my flashlight, I fish it out, and and then I look down, the 2 zippers for the door. Well, you never close it all the way. So, and I looked down there, and then it went from oh shit, it's these ants coming in here.
The same ones you talked about earlier?
Same ones, yeah. These carnivorous, cannibalistic, eat anything, including human beings, ants. And I'm like, oh shit, we got to get out here. So I'm going, Jimmy. And he's the same thing. Well, what do you want, man? Come on, what? I said, wake up. Why? No. So he had a ponytail. I grabbed by the back of the ponytail, poke his head up, show him with the flashlight. So, wake fuck up. We need to get out of here. He's like, oh shit. Yeah, no, thank you. All right? So, okay, what do we do? Well, sitting here is not the answer. So, but you know, they're down there. They're all in my shoes and everything. Okay, fine. Well, the one thing that stops them is fire. So every night, of course, you build a big fire, and you've got to kind of keep it going because it keeps some of the predators away. So let's get to the fire. All right, great. So we're bare ass naked. Okay, this ought to be good. So we get ready to go. I hit the side of the tents, boom, and you could hear this whoosh, as these, I don't know, you know, thousands and thousands of ants go sliding off, and I go, oh, we're so fucked. So we open the tent, go heading towards the fire. You could, they crunch under your feet, right? And just say, oh, this is.
Are you bare feet?
We're naked,
oh
right?
God.
So, you know, so then pretty soon we're doing the naked ant dance. Like, ow, shit, because they bite, and they're not like mosquitoes. They bite and start chewing on you. You're like, ow, ow, shit, ow. Well, we're making all this noise, and the guy's next to us like, what in the hell are you guys doing? Will you shut the, ah! Yeah. You know, it starts working its way down the road. Pretty soon it's chaos, right?
Yeah.
So we wake the guide up. The game warden's got his gun out. He's thinking it's a hyena. And we're like, what the hell's going on? Oh, shit. So everybody quick to the fire, to the fire. Build the fire up.
Yeah.
Make a ring of coals. Right? Everybody inside the ring of coals.
You guys are out here.
We're all standing there buck-ass naked, building this big-ass fire in the ring of coals, right? I was just like, what the? All right? So it's like, holy shit. And so our guide's like, well, don't know how long we're going to be here, so you guys might as well just chill out and go to sleep. What?
Yeah.
There's carnivorous things, you know, just kind of working their way around us, and you want me to put my head down here in the dirt and go to sleep. Okay. We wake up when the sun comes up, bunch of naked guys laying in the dirt. Like, okay, I'm glad there's no photos. And you would not, there's no sign that these things were even there, except that warthog, it was a pile of bones. There was nothing. They just ate the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
We're just like, holy crap. So people ask, what was the scariest thing in Africa? It wasn't the lions, it wasn't the water buffalo, it wasn't the crocodiles, so stinking ants. And now, so here's this thing. So we get done, we're all the way back, I get back in Seattle, I'm unpacking my pack, and I had some piece of cloth that I'd traded for somewhere along the way. And I open it up, and there's 3 of these ants in there. Well, they were dead, but I'm just like, ah! Boom, boom, boom.
How many nightmares or dreams did you have about those ants in the next few months?
Quite a few, actually. Quite a few. I still have one every now and then.
So, with all that craziness, obviously you're learning center. I mean, what was the lessons you took from that you told your team that you guys?
Yeah, the experience with the lions was, to me personally, my ultimate centering experience. It was like to be here, be present, and as I said, it was some weird transcendental thing where I had this genetic memory of, oh, I know this experience. I've been here before. Yeah. Right? I know how this works. Right? Stay calm, stay cool. Right? The ants, this was a much more visceral, like, holy shit, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't know, it's a weird kind of, it's one thing, you know, I can get my head around, there's a lion right there. He's roaring at me. He's pissed at me, all right. Well, come on, I got something for you here, big boy. But these ants, it's a whole different, that's a whole different deal, right? So